Good afternoon. It is November 4th, 2024, and it is a Monday. Today's Monday. Here in Sherbrooke, it is currently, I'm just going to refresh this, given that this is my third attempt at recording this. 7 degrees Celsius. It is 45 degrees Fahrenheit. 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's not raining now. But it's supposed to rain. Definitely dreary outside, but not too cold. Colder than I would like it to be. Just my denial of winter kicking in. Still haven't fully accepted, as it happens every year, that I don't fully accept that winter is just around the corner, and it's going to get a hell of a whole lot colder than this. The sun this morning rose at 6:32 a.m. I apologize, and it will set at 4:29 p.m. So in like an hour. That's nuts. But we're steadily and quickly approaching the winter solstice. So the days are going to keep getting shorter. That's 9 hours and 57 minutes of sunlight today. Struggling today, feeling agitation and guilt for not being productive. There are things I could be doing that I'm not doing, and instead I'm struggling to get this weather report recorded and put out onto the internet. The first time I tried, I ran out of space on my phone, and also was just rambling about stuff that I feel like I wasn't qualified to talk about. And it was just getting very long as well. I'm feeling better now, but earlier I was really struggling with the consequences of some poor nutritional choices that I've made over the past few days. I was just like sitting at my desk and getting quite somnolent because of these digestive issues, but I'm feeling a bit better now. So, today it is time for me to talk about the song that I'm thinking about, which is Bearer of the Curse from Dark Souls 4. Continuing on with this challenge that I've put onto myself to talk about every song on Dark Souls 4 in one 8-day stretch. So, the lyrics of Bearer of the Curse, which, by the way, came out, I put it out, let's actually see here. It was the second song, I believe, that was released from Dark Souls 4 a few years ago. August 8th, 2021. So a few months after NVM by Nirvana was put out. I really like the album cover. I worked really hard on the album cover for the single version, which is a manipulation of a photo by my friend Max, who plays a toy guitar. During the guitar solo near the end of the song, there was a toy guitar being played at the same time as a real guitar, and that's Max playing it. And I want to mention Max because, Max is a very close friend of mine who I've played music with for a very long time, and he, actually the band that was in before, Hoodooed, I played drums in that band. He has played drums for the live version of Daniel Cowman on several occasions. The live session recording of Sin by Daniel Cowman that is on my YouTube channel, it's him that's pretending to be me. He does an absolutely amazing job performing as Daniel Cowman on there. He's a fantastic drummer. He's got a very weird artistic mind, and I say that with the highest compliments. I've never met somebody who has the artistic instincts of this guy, and it's weird, but it's good. And he's also a fantastic improviser. He's so good at improvising while making music, and just while performing specifically. He's so good. But about halfway through the recording of this album, and I'll get more into it once I get to those songs, but I learned that he was moving away from Sherbrooke, and that made me sad. And so about halfway through this album, sort of morphs into a concept album about him moving away from Sherbrooke. And I'll talk about that more in, especially Sacrificial Victims of Minotaur, which directly addresses it, but in La Tarantella è Sbagliata, there's a reference to it as well. But yeah, this is the first appearance of Max. I believe he plays drums in La Tarantella è Sbagliata as well. And also plays drums in the ending section of Sacrificial Victims of Minotaur. So, by the way, I just want to mention, I'm afraid that this album is maybe not good, or not as good as other things I've done before, and that is causing me to feel some anguish. But at the same time, it's the first time that I've actually felt that, like, if it's not, that's okay, and I can accept that if people don't like it. Because my self-esteem has always been pretty intrinsically tied to the art that I make and people's perception of that art and people's perception of me as a performer. But as I'm trying to learn to love myself and grow into somebody that is confident and has this self-love and to become a person where, like, I want to take care of myself, it is becoming easier to let go. So I actually am okay. Not 100%, but sort of definitely more okay than with the idea of people not liking this music than I have been in the past. Despite the fact that there's been a lot of... I mean, the majority of the music that I put out comes out to relative indifference, which is normal for somebody who doesn't... I don't do any promo. I'm not well known, of course. I don't do any promotion. I don't perform that often. And I think I make music that is sometimes pretty accessible, sometimes purposefully very inaccessible, and just not for everyone. And also, like, of course, there's a bunch of people who just don't like what I do. A bunch of people, because, like, there would need to be a bunch of people who listen to it. It's probably, like, the majority of people are indifferent, and there's some people who like it, some people who dislike it, which is normal, and I'm learning to embrace a lot more. So the song Bearer of the Curse is about Dark Souls 2, the video game Dark Souls 2. And most of the lyrics are direct references, if not direct quotes, from the game. And, okay, so just basic, very, very basic Dark Souls lore. Actually all Dark Souls games at this point have a choice you must make at the end of the game. And then you get to choose the ending. Although it's often, like, quite nebulous what happens after the ending you choose. But I mean, yeah, Dark Souls is the series of games that has the most oblique way of telling its story. So I don't really understand, despite having spent, cumulatively literally hundreds of hours in those video games, I still don't really understand what the story is. But although I guess Dark Souls 2 is a bit different with the end than 1 or 3, because, yeah, Dark Souls 2 has an alternate choice which didn't exist within the first, like the initial release of the game, only in Scholar of the First Sin, which is like a remaster, but also, like, changes a bunch of stuff in the game. But now is, like, the definitive edition of the game. It's sort of complicated, but I'd say we take Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3. You have a choice at the end, when you defeat the final boss, to link the fire, or link the flame, in the case of Dark Souls 2. Although it's different in Dark Souls 2, because, like, you don't really have the choice directly to link or not link the flame, fire, whatever you want to call it. Sort of choose that ending, or you just walk away, which is something that, if I recall correctly, is not available in the other games. But it's something to do with the choice of your character, who, by the way, is not special. It's not intrinsically special. There's no chosen one. Really. You're just one of the undead, and you just... I mean, any undead could do it, but you just, like, follow a series of steps, and then you come to a choice, where you can either link the flame or not. So if you link the flame, what you do is you restart a cycle. Sort of like the Age of Gods, the world that the gods created, and the functioning of the world that the gods have desperately tried to keep up. for innumerable cycles, where you're at the end of this cycle where everything has gone to shit and is decaying and is dark, and it just just decay and entropy and suffering and lack of death. And you can link the fire, which will rekindle the flame and restart the cycle over again. And this is a known cycle, right? That will inevitably end up in darkness and decay and entropy. Or you could choose to become the Dark Lord and break the cycle, so to not rekindle the flame, and usher in the Age of Man and become the monarch, to become the all-powerful king of men. We're not necessarily king, but the monarch, the ruler of men. But the thing is that technically you could say that, or at least at first glance, it would be better for this, at least better for humanity, to not restart the cycle of the gods. However, nobody knows what is going to happen if that cycle is broken. So it's known suffering versus the unknown. Or even then, who knows if it's another, and again, I don't know if this part is part of the lore, but who knows if that would not start its own cycle, right? That may start off with darkness and despair and pain, but then eventually get better. Or maybe there's no cycle and it just gets better. Nobody knows. So that's a choice you must make. And Dark Souls 2, you don't have the choice. Spoilers for Dark Souls 2, you don't have the choice. You just go into the kiln, and it's unknown whether or not the bearer of the curse, which is your character, is going to link the flame or not. But then it also has this other ending where you just walk away and abstain, which I think is fascinating as well. But sort of all the lyrics are references to or direct dialogue from Dark Souls 2, but the section after the guitar solo where the rhythm changes goes, even though you have the choice to link the fire in the end, all you'll have to show for it is a Steam achievement, Cursed Undead. Even though your choice at the kiln ultimately amounts to nothing, bearer of the curse I hope you see, even if it's meaningless. Bearer of the curse, you must succeed, even if it's meaningless. Which, that is the significant part when it comes to what the song means to me, and my intent with the song is, I guess it goes down to the root of my moral code, which is, there is no way, all I think that we have control over, that we can guarantee morally, is if we try to reduce the suffering in our environment, and now the boundaries of that environment, it just depends. It depends on who you are and what your situation is, and your own perception of it. But to me, it's myself and people on whose life I can have a pretty direct impact. Not necessarily people I know, but just people I will interact with. And that's pretty much all I can guarantee, is that if I work at having behaviors that are not going to increase the suffering of myself and the people around me, and even better if I can have behavior, do actions that reduce that suffering, even just by a little bit, that is the fundamental, morally correct thing that I can do. And that's not to say that we must ignore things beyond our environment, things that are causing suffering, but fundamentally it begins at what impact can I have here, even if it's small. And that's the point of what I'm saying at the end of the song, is that even if ultimately it's not going to change anything, if I'm nice to people And if I try to help people out in my direct environment, that is not going to change the fact that there was war and suffering and death and genocide and probably the end of humanity due to climate change that we have caused. But I can't do anything about that, really. I mean, I can do small things. I can try my best, but I can't actually control that. What I can control are my own actions, right? I can control my own behavior, right? And I can control my behavior in relation to my environment. And that is the best that I can really hope for and expect, is that I can make, even if it's small, even if it's like, the point is that even if ultimately it doesn't fix anything, it's not my responsibility to fix, because no individual can fix, really. It can happen. It can happen that one person's actions are going to set off a chain reaction, which is eventually going to cause a huge change, which is necessary. But there's no way to anticipate that. There's nobody who, if it were possible for a person to just be like, I'm going to change the world, anybody, to say, I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to act, and the world is going to change, everybody would do it. Right? And it would work. But it doesn't work. Things don't work that way. And so even if you, like, my point is that, like, even if it seems futile, ultimately, right? And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how, if I'm going to try to reduce suffering around me and I'll fail, or I'll be met with indifference, or even worse, that I might actually inadvertently end up hurting somebody. But that cannot be a justification to not try as best I can to do this. And that's what the song is about. We don't know what our impact is going to be, but we have to try. And I think that it is important to not, as difficult as it is to not get sucked in by what's happening globally, I think it is important to not get sucked in by this and to neglect what is going on directly around us, because we see this suffering, which is maybe disproportionately amplified in other places. And I think for some people this is not a popular opinion, right? And I get it. I think for some people that see injustice, regardless of where it is, believe that it is their moral imperative to do everything they possibly can to try to contribute to getting rid of that injustice, if they perceive it as being a worse injustice than what is going on around them. But I think that that's an approach which is doomed to fail the majority of the time, and is a sad waste of resources that could be used to make an actual impact. But maybe I'm wrong. Okay, later today, it is supposed to keep raining until about 6 p.m. It hasn't started raining yet. It's getting gloomier and gloomier, but the sun is going down since it's going to set in about 36 minutes from now. So it's going to keep going down. I haven't really been out yet today other than to smoke one cigarette. It's going to go down at 4 p.m. to 6 degrees Celsius, 42 degrees Fahrenheit, with still a 51% chance of rain. It's going to steadily go down and sort of like fluctuate. No, it's actually going to fluctuate between 5 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, and 4 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, so it's going to stay steady. So it's going to dip down at 7 p.m. to 4 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and then go back up to, it's going to stay 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's going to go up to 5 degrees Celsius. So it's, am I correct in this? Doesn't seem to make sense. Anyway, it's gonna stay at a steady like 5 degrees Celsius and fluctuate between 40 degrees Celsius, 40 and 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, what am I gonna do today? I'm not really quite sure, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out, and I'll stay strong, and I'll stay here in Sherbrooke, but maybe not here in my house. I'm not really quite sure yet. We'll see. Still feeling anxious. Good idea would be to go to the gym, but I have to leave the house first. Okay. Might clean the bathroom as well. In any case, oh yeah, by the way, Dark Souls 4 is available on streaming platforms now. Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, all that stuff. Check it out if you want. It's gloomy here, but maybe wherever you are, there are beautiful blue skies and golden sunshine all along the way. If so, enjoy it. If not, still try to enjoy yourself. Everyone, have a great day.